Gold Derbyites. I'm here with Amanda Spears, Tony Ruiz, Charles Bright, Riley Chow, and Zach Laws, and I'm Rob Licuria, and we're here to talk about comedy actor and comedy supporting actor at this year's Emmys. There are pretty exciting races. I think we've got a lot to talk about, so let's quickly run through the nominees. They are Anthony Anderson for Blackish for the episode Lemons, Aziz Ansari for Master of None for the episode The Dinner Party, Zach Galifianakis for Baskets for the episode Freaks, Donald Glover for Atlanta for the episode The Big Bang, William H. Macy for Shameless for the episode You Sold Me the Laundromat, Remember? And Jeffrey Tambor for Transparent for the episode Eliza. Now, normally, over the last couple of years, we would have just said, you know, Jeffrey Tambor is pretty much the front runner. That's normally how this kind of works. But this is a bit of a different year, and looks like maybe Donald Glover might give him a run for his money. And I would even suggest, you know, in my fantasy world, that Aziz Ansari has a shot as well, and maybe even Anthony Anderson. So I'm going to open this up to whoever the hell would like to go first.
You know what? I'm going to really disappoint you, Rob, and say that right now I've got Jeffrey Tambor in first place.
Really?
So.
Hey, that's good. And why is that?
Well, because... you know, I think that we all just assumed that since Transparent didn't get into comedy series, that was a ding against his chances. But I think that's kind of a fluke, personally. I think if you look at the 7 nominations that it got, more than Atlanta, more than Blackish, more than Modern Family, they're still watching the show. And 3 of those nominations are for acting. So actors are watching the show. And let's not forget, this is the category that gave Jim Parsons 4 Emmys in 5 years. So when they find someone they like, they just stick with them. The year that Jeffrey Tambor won, by the way, was for the first time, was the year that Jim Parsons wasn't nominated. So for all we know, he could have just been continuing to win until time infinitum. The other thing that could work in Jeffrey Tambor's favor is the fact that his episode is basically a one-person show. There's nobody else from Transparent in the episode. It's just him. It's
Catherine
not...
Hahn.
Okay, Catherine, excuse me. I haven't watched it in a year, Riley. Give me a break.
Come on, man.
But anyway, the one ding that I guess you can give against him, which has not hurt him in the past, is that it's not an overtly comedic submission. In that case, I wouldn't be surprised if either Donald Glover or Anthony Anderson could win. It's been over 30 years since a person of, and Aziz Ansari for this, for that matter, would fit into this too. It's been over 30 years since a person of color won this award. Robert Guillaume for Benson in '85, so that's pretty shameful. I wouldn't be surprised if Zach Galifianakis won. I've got him in 3rd place right now.
So nothing would surprise you.
No, well, William H. Macy would surprise me, maybe.
And he's the sax, right?
Well,
Yeah.
I'll just say this. Thank Trump for your win, because that transgender tweet basically sealed your Emmy.
You think?
Yep. Might as well run an FYC ad right after that on CNN constantly, because they keep talking about it. They're talking about the show. It puts the show back in top of mind. Remember when he won his first one, when the buzz had kind of cooled down a little bit. We had the Caitlyn Jenner on the cover of Vanity Fair. It does nothing but help him because it's an anti-Trump move. Mm-hmm. I will say I have a bigger problem with Anthony Anderson losing that SAG award than I do with Jeffrey Tambor.
Really?
Because his show was nominated. His show and Modern Family, Ty Burrell, were the only 2 in that category with an ensemble nomination. So how did he lose if they love his show so much? So, and frankly, I think the episode isn't funny. And he's a stand-up comedian.
Lemons.
Yeah.
But it's impactful, especially...
I get that, but I think when you look at the Writers Guild, and they nominated their Gun episode from last season for single comedy. Yes, it was a very topical episode, but it's still funny. This isn't a funny episode. And I think out of a stand-up comedian, you kind of want to laugh.
Yeah. See, I thought Jeffrey Tambor losing the SAG was a real problem, and it's stuck in my mind. And unfortunately, I'm not able to get past it, which is why I'm going with Donald Glover. But yeah, I'd love to see Zach Galifianakis win too. Who else who hasn't had a chance to chat yet?
I'm. It's really interesting because I'm really of three minds about this. I think it is between Tambor and Galifianakis, and oh my God, who is Glover? Tambor, Galifianakis, and Glover. But all for different reasons. I think Tambor's, aside from the really brief appearance by Catherine Hahn at the beginning, it is a one-man show for Jeffrey Tambor, and he's dynamic. He's, it's emotional, it's timely, and he's Jeffrey Tambor. If anybody's going to joke, this is a category that over the course of the entire Emmys, 8 people have won this category 3 or more times, and many of them have done it consecutively. The last person to do it in 3 consecutive years was Michael J. Fox for Family Ties. And Tambor is the perfect actor in that mold that they would have no problem giving him 3. Galifianakis, I think, would have had a better shot if he had submitted a different episode. He plays twins on Baskets, and there's an episode where his twins get into a fight where they completely demolish their mother's house. It's hysterically funny and emotionally poignant at the end. I wish he had submitted that. Glover, who I don't necessarily think should win, I think he could because he is the creative force behind the most critically acclaimed comedy on television. And so, and on top of that, he's got a gigantic hit song right now that makes his profile. He's all over television right now. I saw him on the Tonight Show just about a week ago, or 2 weeks ago, something like that. So I think Tambor is out in front, but I would put Glover and Galifianakis within spoiling distance. I don't think it's a slam dunk.
Yeah, I don't think there's really the passion there for Transparent anymore. It was dropped from series. I mean, it's still picking up nominations in categories like cinematography, production design, but come on. It's much more showy from a craft's perspective than a lot of these other contenders. At SAG, they dropped it not only from Ensemble, but they also didn't give another one to Jeffrey Tambor. And his performance is one that I really thought that we would just see get checked over and over again, because they can feel good about doing it because, it's a transgender role. But it just wasn't there. William H. Macy, he won again. And I don't think any of us are predicting him to win here because that seems more like kind of just SAG going for the bigger name. It says less to me that William H. Macy won than it does about Jeffrey Tambor losing. I'm going with Donald Glover because it seems to be brought up fairly often that he's not really giving an acting performance. That's not why people like him in the show. They like it because he's also writing, directing, producing, all that kind of stuff. But he did win the Golden Globe for acting, and he also won the Critics' Choice Award for acting, and they didn't even award his show. And he also won the Television Critics Association Award. So it's not such a foreign concept that he could be awarded for acting. And then in third, I have Zach Galifianakis because his nomination I thought was very surprising because he's not the kind of performer where they're watching Baskets and then in later seasons they discover this guy named Zach Galifianakis. He was the draw for the show. He's a past Emmy winner, past Emmy nominee for acting. He's playing a dual role as a clown. He should have gotten in at the start, but now that he is in, as we were talking about on the actor's side, it shows that he has broad enough support that he can get enough #1 votes. And this is also a show that has a history of winning acting Emmys.
But
I've got a quick statistic, though. The one thing that hurts Glover is that never in the history of the Emmys has a performer who has been nominated for acting, writing, and directing, they have never won more than one of them in a single year. Alan Alda is the only person to have won all 3, but he won them in different years.
Didn't Tina Fey win acting and writing in the same year, I think?
Yes, she did.
Oh, she did. You're right. I forgot about her.
But was that in comedy series?
No, she won the writing award in 2008 along with lead actress.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I'm glad I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, so
But he's a front runner to, a lot of us think that he's probably going to win directing.
Yeah.
So, will he win acting as well? It's not an easy thing to do.
I think it's just that these like stand-up comedians, or in his case, he's also / rapper. Like they're not usually giving performances that, because they're not actors in the same sense as these other guys. So they wouldn't have a good performance that would stand up on the tape system. Whereas now I think that's irrelevant.
Well, let me just say this about Donald. I'm sorry. I just want to,
Everybody keeps interrupting.
I will I'll go after you.
No, go. It's okay.
I just wanted to say, I mean, Donald Glover, let's not forget, this guy was also on Community for, what was it, 5 seasons. So, I mean, it's not as if he's it's not like he's Jerry Seinfeld or Ray Romano, where he's just like somebody who comes from the world of stand-up comedy and just got his own show and is now learning how to be an actor. This guy is an actor, and he's a very good actor. I will say that as well. He is very subtle. Maybe he's playing himself. I don't know. But I mean, he's 100% believable every moment that he's on screen. And I agree. I think he's probably going to win for directing. He may even win for writing. And maybe that'll hurt his chances. They'll just say, we're voting for him and he's going to win these other categories. I want to throw my vote to somebody who's not going to win another Emmy. But I mean, I just want to, push back on this notion that he's, not like a trained actor, because he is very good in this show and he is coming off of other acting experiences.
Yeah.
Here's my problem. Louis C.K., Aziz Ansari, Lena Dunham. I mean, we've seen these auteurs just not be able to win these acting categories. And when you go back to the stand-up comedian, Ray Romano was the last one. And what was that, like 12 years ago?
That was 15 years ago.
15 years ago?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I think what hurts him is the same thing that kind of hurts these shows. I think there's something that maybe the actors feel it's selfish because it's just kind of all about them. Whereas like when 30 Rock was this very big ensemble show, and this is like his vehicle. House of Cards or Master of None is Aziz Ansari's vehicle.
At the same time, though, there are episodes that don't even feature Donald Glover. Like the band episode, or what was that one with Zazie Beetz where she was having to take the drug? Yeah. Or maybe he was in that episode. I can't. It's been a year. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, to my point, it's that he's not afraid to yield to his co-stars. I mean, there are episodes that are centered on Brian Tyree Henry or Zazie Beetz. So it's not as if it's just like a showcase for him. It's a great
and first person mentioned, though. That's my point. It's with 30 Rock.
No, I get
With 30 Rock, they'd say, "Oh, Alec Baldwin's amazing. Jane Krakowski, Tracy Jordan, Morgan." I get his character confused all the time because the name's so cute. Close, but it's one of those things where he is always the first thing mentioned. Like Aziz Ansari is always the first thing mentioned with Master of None. There's just no evidence that these auteurs can win acting, because I think there is a little bit of a backlash for them.
I think the difference here is that with the new voting system, where it's not a tape system and it's not a rank system, all you have to do is have buzz and be the one that people like. And maybe you're right. Maybe it will work against them. But I think with this new system, whereas all those examples you mentioned were under the old system of tapes and rankings, we have to look at this thing from a new paradigm.
But also keep in mind that unlike the Golden Globes, who I think they're probably older voters too at the Golden Globes. But you know what? They like to seem hip and cool. So they'll vote for Atlanta and they'll vote for Donald Glover. Do I think they understand the show? No. But the Emmys like what they like.
No, I think the Emmys are all about hip and cool now. They awarded Rami Malek, Tatiana Maslany, like Louie Anderson. Like these are not big names, I think the Emmys are very different under the new system. And I think one more thing that helps Donald Glover is that Atlanta is winning Best Comedy Series.
No, it is not. Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Yes.
No.
We have to move on.
No, and no.
You should just be saying wrong. Okay, anyway, let's move on to Comedy Supporting Actor. The nominees there are Louie Anderson for Baskets episode Denver, Alec Baldwin for Saturday Night Live, hosted by Melissa McCarthy, Titus Burgess for Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt for Kimmy's Roommate Lemonades. I can already hear Amanda wanting to talk about that scene. Ty Burrell for Modern Family for Grab It. Is that about Donald Trump? I'm not sure. Tony Hale for Veep for the episode Judge, and Matt Walsh for Veep for the episode Chicklet. My personal view, because I'm not going to get a word in otherwise once I open up to you crazies. Louie Anderson won last year, and I was extremely happy about that. I think he's a possibility again, but the safe bet is obviously Alec Baldwin. People are going to be wanting to reward his contribution to social, to pop culture, to society, and just in skewering Mango Mussolini. So let's go straight, and that's a shout out to Tony who came up with that concept. Who wants to go first? Talk about who's going to upset maybe Alec Baldwin.
Titus Burgess.
Okay.
Yeah, Titus Burgess. And you know what gives me the permission to do this? He was the surprise SAG nominee, and sometimes just sneaking into those categories. Jim Parsons got a SAG Award nomination before he won. He didn't win, but he got nominated. And that episode has been a talking point. It is impeccably done, down to the detail. It's nominated for song. He is crazy amazing. I mean, just hearing him, if you haven't seen Chris's talk with him about this episode, I'm like, I just love it. I've seen it so many times. I talked Rob into watching.
Yeah, indeed. And I enjoyed it.
It is perfect. And it might as well be called Titus Burgess Deserves an Emmy instead of Kimmy's Roommate Lemonades, because I can't even tell you what he does, and I've seen it like 6 times.
It's good.
And it's not even just that episode. It's the fact that for the entire season of Kimmy Schmidt, I mean, obviously when we saw that episode, we were like, okay, that's his Emmy submission. But he had several episodes that he could have submitted if that episode did not exist. There's the episode where Jen Krakowski needs him to come in and help get rid of her brother-in-law. And what does he call himself? Rock something. Anyway, there's the episode where he eats Dionne Warwick when he's marooned out in the middle of the ocean. There's the episode where he goes to get his boyfriend back on the cruise ship, and he says, in the words of our president, "Black people, what have you got to lose?" I mean, there's just like episode after episode after episode. And you know what else is so remarkable about him this year, and this is a credit to the writing, is that Titus had some real growth this year as well. He really started to realize how selfish he is. And you saw him starting to make some steps to change. And I think that's incredible that they had that Tina Fey is such a genius to have laid this groundwork out in these early seasons and then to start paying that off.
I was hoping this was getting nominated for costumes. I really thought that when This Is Us was taken out, that this was going to be it. But
should be
just
nominated
to your point,
for everything.
Yes, just to your point, is that as over the top as he is in this, he has a very grounding moment at the end where it's very well-rounded. And he's been a standout of this show for so long. And just like Jane Lynch in The Power of Madonna, she completely channeled this superstar. He completely, even with the fake hair flip, channels Beyonce in a way that I just, this is my one passion vote this year.
Wow,
I can't help it.
And that's why I'm predicting him to win over Alec Baldwin.
Zach is a smart man.
So what's
you?
Nothing would make me happier than, I mean, I don't know what would make me happier, Titus Burgess winning or Alec Baldwin losing. I don't know which would make me happier. Although I did probably Titus Burgess, because in that case I could have my cake and eat it too. But there's something about I think Alec Baldwin's going to win. Just it's a reluctant prediction.
Why are you not happy about that, Charles?
After it was one thing if you had him like doing it for like 1 week and it's like, oh, okay, that's funny. But then, to have that impression of him always every week, it was almost like it wore on me.
That's how
I felt. And I know I'm in the minority.
No, I completely agree with you. And I'll bring up one other thing about Alec Baldwin. If he's so beloved amongst his fellow actors, why does he only have 2 Emmys to his 7 SAG wins? Like, I just think that I agree with you. I think it left a bad taste. It just went on.
I just
didn't need as many.
Like, I'm surprised. You
don't have to live with it.
I know, but I just I really looked forward to.
Yeah, you don't have to live. You didn't have to live with 2 of them yakking all the time.
Well, the thing is, we kind of do. Like, you'd be surprised how much it permeates across the whole world. What's going on in the US, but it really does. But I looked forward to Alec Baldwin having a go at him every week, and I thought he did a beautiful job. There's a particular episode where he's talking to the Prime Minister of Australia and the President of Mexico, and then he talks to the President of Zimbabwe, and he's got Steve Bannon dressed
Chancellor of Germany.
Yeah, that's gold. I think he does a beautiful job of Donald Trump, and I just can't see how he won't win. I mean, I know you guys are not saying, oh, he's not going to win. You're just saying you'd rather he didn't because you have.
No, I could will somebody to win. I would.
I don't know if you have that power.
I think you have to let me do it because, as we saw with Moonlight this year.
Oh yes, exactly. I don't know how he did this or what voodoo spell you can cast.
Wait, something else. Wait, La La Land didn't win. I turned off right after they won. I also just want to say I think Titus is in this amazing moment. I think this episode had more viral heft than his Pinot Noir did, and holy crap, that was that's something that is still resonating.
Beyonce like retweet or tweet out to him or something. I thought I saw something about like.
I don't know if she did, but I will say Titus Burgess today followed me on Twitter, and I hardly ever use Twitter. So
how did you get followed by a celebrity?
I know my updates mean a lot to you, so thank you for that.
Wow, that's wonderful.
I think, but I also think Louie Anderson is. I mean, maybe I don't know if any of the support has maybe fallen off or the passion has maybe dropped down a little bit on that show. But from what I heard, he owned this season. He owned the second season of
Tony,
Baskets.
You can talk about that. You and I love that.
Yeah, and so I think he's still actually. I have him in third place, but a very strong third place. I actually see Baldwin, Burgess, and Louie Anderson all very close to each other.
Yeah, Tony.
Yeah, I've got Anderson in second. He had so much more to do this season on Baskets than he even did last season. He had 4 episodes that could have been winning submissions, and the one that he chose is a spectacular showcase for him.
Yeah.
In a way that he does something that I think none of the other performances in this category necessarily do, and that is he makes you really just feel something real. It's not stylized. It's not big. It's soul crushing, and yet in heart. Hold on. I'm still going. So we underestimate. I would not underestimate Louie Anderson in this. I think he could be the spoiler, particularly since the show actually picked up an additional nomination for Galifianakis.
Yeah, and the thing is, Tony, what Tony's saying, and I agree. Like, he has the it's the emotion, and it's funny. Like, Louie Anderson's funny. He's one of the funny parts of Baskets, because Baskets is a dramedy. It's got a lot of dramatic elements. I think it's very funny too, and I think we just need to be very mindful of that. He won last year. Zach Galifianakis picked up a nomination this year. The show has not died in support at all. It's improved, and he could easily win again. So we just have to be very mindful of that. I think there's 3, as Charles said, there's really 3 up at the top who could easily take this. We haven't talked about the Veep guys or Tyra Burrell. Riley, you haven't had a chance to chat yet, so we'll have a go.
Yeah, I don't really understand these Titus Burgess predictions. I mean, I understand that he had a bigger season than he did before. Okay, yeah, that's very nice, Amanda. I like it whenever you tell me your face when I'm talking.
No, I'm just like, I just love that episode so much.
Yeah, but Titus Burgess, like, he's a very loud, flamboyant character. Like, he seems like kind of a made-for-Emmy character. So I don't understand why he hasn't won in either of the last 2 years. And I feel like Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt is kind of the Better Call Saul of the comedy side, where I'm not really sure if the actors branch really cares about it that much. Like, they couldn't get Tina Fey nominated last year. They can't get John Hamm nominated this year. They're not getting various other people. It just seems like they've settled on those two, and now they'll keep checking them off. I don't know if there's passion among the acting branch for Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Alec Baldwin, I'd say, like, he might be a towering performance where he's just unstoppable, but he also might be a case of, you know, this thing that I keep talking about where I don't think there's any sympathy for Alec Baldwin. I think he's somebody who already has everything. I think that the Emmys want to reward somebody who doesn't, who in this case is Louie Anderson. And I'm predicting Louie Anderson because I don't think under this new Emmy system, it really matters what year we're in. I think the Emmys find these roles and then they are just going to keep awarding them until they find something better. I don't think there's any reason why Ben Mendelsohn was more deserving last year than he was before, or Regina King or Margot Martindale. I think that, yeah, they're going to find these roles and they're going to keep checking them off until they find somebody else to check off continually.
Do you think the system, opens itself up to like repeat winners? Because I think it, because I don't know.
Yeah, Tony Hale.
Well, Tony Hale didn't win. Tony Hale won under the rank system before they just went to a straight plurality vote. And we see even these actors who are nominated so often at the Oscars, you know, they get in because under a ranked system, but they don't win back to back. It's very rare. I guess that's my one. It's one of those things I'm going to have to see like 5 to 6 years of this, but.
Yeah, we have very little data, but I think that if voters had any sort of awareness about who had won in past years, we wouldn't have seen Margot Martindale repeat.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll learn in a month if this new voting system opens itself up to repeat winners. I mean, obviously we saw our repeat wins for Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Jeffrey Tambor under both the old and new system. And who knows, maybe we'll have a new system next year. It's never too late for them to change again and just confuse the hell out of us further. But
we're just going to randomly draw names out of hats then.
I will say for Louie Anderson, I mean, we shouldn't underestimate him. For, as you say, Riley, I mean, when they find a person they like, they just keep picking that person. And, it is a real performance. Like the fact that he's playing Zach Galifianakis' mom in this show opens itself up to a lot of camp, but the fact that he's giving a real performance as a woman, I think, is probably what helped him win last year. It was a transformative performance. So I don't know who the hell to pick.
But do you think like
it's even stronger, and he's even stronger this year because he has that entire episode. Denver is entirely focused on him. Zach Galifianakis isn't even really in that episode, and it's his complete arc of Christine going to Denver to find this new relationship, and she actually does find it, and she actually has to confront actually being happy for herself for a change and not living for her kids. It's a complete and total arc. And the other thing that I will say that helps, that does help Baldwin is, I think there was a certain degree of fatigue with his performance on Saturday Night Live. Not for me. I thought it was spectacular. But the fact that Trump is so in the news right now, even more than ever, and getting more and more crazy, that could either help him or it could hurt him. I'm leaning more towards the help.
Do you think, like, because we've just seen like crazy press secretaries and somebody wanting to do something I'm not going to mention on the air, maybe Matt Walsh could benefit? Like maybe that helps put him up front. I did see a viral video of him explaining like how to give a press briefing to Sean Spicer's. Like, it's a performance.
He's got he's got quite the episode. His episode is
and
very
he's really
competitive.
good in Tony Hale's episode in a way that Tony Hale really sinks into the background in his. He's a little jealous, but he's not really front and center the way he normally is above the other Veep characters. Although I think Timothy Simmons was the one that was robbed personally.
And let's say for Matt Walsh, I mean, he got in a year where I think a lot of people were thinking that he would get replaced by Timothy Simmons. And, you know, for Matt Walsh, this guy he's one of the founders of UCB, so he is extremely well respected within this industry. I think if it weren't for the fact that Tony Hale probably still takes a lot of votes away from him, he would be winning this eventually.
Also, I just have one more question for everyone. Do you think like what made a performance special one year, the whole Louie Anderson playing, I'm not picking on that, because if Alec Baldwin comes back and plays Trump after winning, do you think sometimes that what made it special could wear off? Like maybe it's like, okay, we know you can do it.
It's possible if the material isn't there. And a lot of times, like when we see these shows that resonate in their first season, there's like a second season drop off, especially ones that really take off in their first season. But I really think that if the material is there, they're usually willing to recognize it a second time in a row.
Well, look how many times they gave somebody like, say, Dennis Franz an Emmy, or Kelsey Grammer, or.
System.
But I'm just saying. I mean, just to your point.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think with the tape system, it was kind of like the great equalizer.
Yeah,
it was like vibes and everything.
Everything was kind of wiped clean, and they started again every year. That's what it seemed like, and it was very fair. And
that's how you get some of these. I mean, that's how you got some of these really out of left field wins that if you don't understand the tape system, don't make any sense. Jeff Daniels winning for the Newsroom when he was up against Bryan Cranston and Damian Lewis, if you don't know about the tape system, makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, and it's how Jeff Probst kept winning. I mean, and then
All right, we'll see this year.
We'll see. The only person we haven't really talked about is Ty Burrell, and no disrespect to him, he's an Emmy winner. He's on a show that's on the downslide, really, and
I think he should just hang out.
You think?
I think the 10th isn't it ending in 2 seasons?
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, but they like
you'll win in 10th season. I think he's one of those goodbye Emmy kind of.
I don't think he'll ever make it up to the stage again for Modern Family. Personally, I just think he'll be nominated though, because I really like Ty Burrell. He's a very popular guy. From what I can tell, he's a very nice person. So maybe that's how, and obviously he's very good on the show. So I don't
last man standing.
Sorry, Zach. When he drops out, then what?
When he drops out, then you know that they don't watch the show anymore. I mean, I thought this might have actually been the year that Modern Family did not get in, but I think this just goes to prove that if there's one thing that Emmy voters love, it's shows with big ensembles.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, that show
ensemble in the comedy.
Yeah, I mean, that show doesn't get recognized, aside from like sound mixing, doesn't get recognized anywhere else these days except for Ty Burrell.
Yeah. Well, I think we might leave it there. Thank you all so much. It's been a marathon today, and we'll check in soon on the other categories. And who knows what the hell's happening? Nobody knows anything.